Hey, welcome to another episode of the Miami Comedy Podcast. I'm Manny Garavito, your host, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about the nuances of mango season in the city of Miami. Now, some private properties, have the luxury of having a naturally growing mango tree in the front or backyard. And since we love that fruit so much, some of us are willing to risk it all and just have a taste of that sweet, sweet mango hanging oh so ripely in someone's private property. Now, you're gonna have to ask yourself, are you willing to risk it all for the taste of that fruit? Some people will say yes. And there's two things to consider if you are this kind of person. Number one, we live in Florida, and this state loves to stand their ground. And number two, we live in Miami, Florida, which is a city that loves to look out the window and snitch. Now, let's look at that first risk. We live in the state that is shaped like a gun. That should already tell you enough. And we're the kind of people that have guns in our homes just waiting for the right moment. And all we need is just a suspicion when it comes to someone in our properties. You see it all the time. Florida man pulls out gun, Florida man shoots this, Florida man shoots that. And it's really part of our culture in the state of Florida. Now, unfortunately, a mango tree, even though it's God's fruit, something that God has given humanity to enjoy, can be growing in someone's property. And that someone could be armed, waiting for the right opportunity. And probably one of the worst ways to go is holding on to mangoes. I can just imagine what it would be like to be a police officer investigating a shooting, and they have to look at someone's body holding on to mangoes. Now, when you go to the autopsy room, do you still have the mangoes there? Is that evidence? Would that hold up in court? Whatever. My point is that people that own mango trees can see it as a way to use the weapons that are just collecting dust in their homes. They're hoping, no, better yet, they are praying for the opportunity to dust that thing off and aim it your way while you're grabbing some of that sweet, sweet nectar on the top of their tree. And it's almost like hunting. I see it as the exact same way as hunters laying out traps to shoot the animal. I don't know if you've ever tried mango with tagine, but some of these Florida people could double down and place a bottle of tagine right underneath, oh so conveniently, on their mango tree. And if you were to ever see that, that is definitely a setup. Now let's look at the second risk of wanting to climb that mango tree. Some of the sweetest mangoes in the city of Miami grow in Hialeah because the people that live there are mostly Caribbean, particularly from Cuba itself. And they know how to take care of those mango trees. They know exactly what to do for it to grow to its full potential. Sometimes you would see a mango tree just full of ripe mangoes, way too many, almost to the point where no one knows what to do with them, but you still can't get any. I've even seen a mango tree with a bird feeder on it, but the people still don't want you to climb it to grab a fruit. So you'd rather feed birds than to give your neighbor a mango? That is wild to me. Now, let's say you think the coast is clear and no one is looking at you while you're gonna go and grab a ripe mango hanging from someone's tree. I can assure you that somebody's grandma, AKA abuela, is looking out the window and watching you commit this atrocious crime. And they will either A, call the police, B, call the person that owns the house, or C, do both. And then when the police arrive, they're not even going to step outside to get the credit for the one place in the call. They're going to be inside calling more people, letting them know that there's police officers outside of their home because somebody was in private property. Why watch a soap opera when you can be in one? You know, it really is a shame the way we treat mangoes around here, now that I think about it. Mangoes are best when they're picked from its natural glory, not so much at a grocery store. The fun of getting a mango is the fact that you found one. Going to a grocery store and buying a mango just seems so off. Seeing one in the wild is way more rewarding. But everybody that owns a mango tree in their property knows the value behind that mango. I think that if you do have a mango tree growing in your home, the appraisers will actually bring it up by a substantial amount. Because if you grow mangoes in your property, imagine in the state of an emergency. Everybody is going to their nearest grocery store looking for something to eat. You've got it right there. If there was something apocalyptic happening in the city of Miami, would the people that own the mango trees be the first to go? If you think about it, it'd be way more resourceful. And that's what gives you the pride That's what allows you to think that you're better than everyone in your neighborhood that doesn't have a mango tree. It's almost as if you were chosen by God to be able to grow this sweetness so close to your home. You know what Miami should do? It should implement a holiday where you can go out and pick mangoes anywhere you want. Just one day for 24 hours. It'll be like the purge. All mangoes should be fair game, in my opinion. I think anyone should go and be able to pick the fruit. I mean, think about your blessing. It's in abundance, man. That's the fruit of God. God gave you the opportunity for you to have that tree. Why not share it with someone? Back in the day, we used to ask our neighbors for sugar. If you get caught, that's probably what you should say. So I think you have a big responsibility if there's a mango tree growing in your home. That's not that big of a deal for somebody to grab some fruit in your property, especially if it falls off. Fine, I understand you don't want someone to climb your tree. Okay, understood. It looks a little weird anyway. You're not really sure if they're building a tree house or picking a mango. I get it. But if it falls off the tree and someone jumps over your fence just to grab it, is it really that big of a deal? I even look at the Ring app and people are on there talking about, oh, this person climbed over my fence to grab this mango he saw. It's so, let him. Didn't God say feed the hungry? Look at that. You didn't even have to go out of your way. It was all done passively for you. I can also look at it the other way. If you own a mango tree, the responsibility you have can actually work against you. So let's say if you allow somebody to climb your mango tree and when they pick the fruit, they slip and fall. They fall off the tree, they bop their head on the roots or on the floor. Knowing how Miami likes to sue for slip and falls, are you liable if you allow it? I take it all back. As a matter of fact, every single thing I said about this podcast, I take it all back because knowing the attorneys of Miami, they would probably come up with a really good angle and say something like, my client slipped and fell in someone's private property and the person allowed them to climb the tree to grab the mango. You know what? Now that I think about it, everything I said about this podcast, I take it back. Of course, Miami is always known to file slip and falls. In any case, that's why we advertise so many attorneys here. So I take it all back. This podcast is over. That's it for the podcast. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on socials. And don't forget to come out to a comedy show. Visit miamicomedy.com, and I'll see you on the next episode.